Good morning, trainees. Welcome to another session of this wonderful training. Today, I will be focusing on television and personality interview. Like I have said in previous sessions, that the practical aspect of this training is what would give you the I will put you in the know of the things that are expected to be done as a professional journalist. There are a lot of issues, a lot of things that are associated with reporting, and part of that is personality interview. What is personality interview? In one of the sessions we had where we talked about various interviews, I made mention of personality interview as part of the interviews, as part of types of the interviews. I taught, television as it is, like I have repeatedly said, is a media platform that has audiovisual characteristic. So it is deemed to be a very unique type of a media platform that gives the audience an appealing coverage, an appealing news, an appealing information. Personality interview is the type of interview where personalities or a particular personality is being interviewed, is being asked questions about the person's lifestyle, the person's profession, the person's business acumen, the person's social life, the person's marriage, the person's family life, the person's uh, way of interaction, and a lot of issues that might be in focus. Personality interview is very important in media. It's very important in media for certain reasons. Personality interview promotes a particular personality. There are a lot of people who have certain potential, who have certain impact in various areas, in education, in sport, in aviation, in agriculture, and other aspects. There are prominent people who have been making impact in their various fields. So when personality interview is being conducted, there are a lot of impact, a two-way impact. The person that is being interviewed gain more prominence and make more people to know the person, and then the audience learn from the interview about the person's experiences in life, about the things the person has gone through to be where they're at today. Maybe the educational aspect of the personality, or the entrepreneurial aspect of the personality, or the sport aspect of the personality, or the marital aspect of the personality. So when personality interviews are conducted, in some aspect, there is a focus on a particular issue or aspect or topic, why in others there is a kind of generalization or a general interview that is done where questions are asked about the person's social life, the person's marital life, the person's interests, hobbies, and a lot more. While some personality interviews focus on just one aspect, maybe the entrepreneurial development aspect of the person or the entrepreneurial acumen of the person only, and then under the topic, there will be various questions that will be asked in line with entrepreneurial development or entrepreneurship. So, uh, or entrepreneurship, and then we have other aspects like marital aspect where the person can be asked questions about the his or her marital life, her marriage life. How did it start? How did it begin? When did you start dating? At what age would you encourage people to date? What challenges did you experience during your courtship? Were your parents determinants in the relationship and the marriage? What factor played out? What role did your in-laws played? What challenges are you facing in your marriage? What are the issues that should be tackled amicably? And then what methodology have you applied in resolving conflict in marriage? And what do you think should be done? Should people be encouraged to marry at a young age? And then people learn from such personality interviews because there are a lot of people who have gone through certain things because of certain mistakes they made while growing up. Now, when they are interviewed and they talk about their experience, the things they went through, conditions that led to the things that happened to them, people who are still coming up will actually learn from such interview and avoid certain mistakes. There are certain mistakes that are avoidable, but because of ignorance, negligence, or lack of exposure, a lot of persons did not follow certain instructions, so they found themselves in the mess they are today. Some succeeded in coming out of such mess, and while others were consumed by the mistakes they made, the mess they caused. So personalities who have fought and won certain battles, ideological battles and certain crises that they actually fought and came out of successfully, they would be in the right position to talk and then educate people about certain things and try to enlighten them and make them not to make the mistakes that they made. And then there are areas where they have succeeded. They have applied certain technical aspects, technological aspects, scientific, moral, and other aspects that they actually, or other things they did that led to the successes they attained. They will actually motivate people, encourage them to follow their footsteps. They will encourage them to make the sacrifices that they made to be where they are today. Because there are a lot of things, because success doesn't come on the a platter of gold. You need to work hard. You need to make sacrifices. You need to take risks to actually get there. So when you are interviewing people who are actually knowledgeable, experienced, expert in a given area, they will be able to tell you firsthand, they give you firsthand information because they experience that, and they will be in the right position to tell you the things they experienced, the things they went through, the things they have actually experienced, and what should be done to actually make progress, what should be done to make significant impact, the corrections that should be taken, the mistakes that should be avoided, the things that should be avoided so that it won't actually retrogress their progress in the course of trying to move forward and attain a greater heights. So when you want to do a personality interview, one, you must have a focus, you must have a plan. You must have what do you actually want? Is there any trending issue that requires an interview, a personality interview in that aspect? Are we in economic crisis? Is there a conflict? What trending issue or what challenges are being experienced at the moment that will require a personality interview, someone who can give us information in that line about the person's lifestyle, about the person's aspect, about the person's involvement in the aspect where crisis has erupted. You know, for example, like we have clergies, we have clergies, we have imams, we have pastors, we have reverend fathers, we have evangelists, and so on in the religious category. And now, if there are religious crises that are occurring, there are issues that are being faced religiously. Now, a personality in that aspect can be interviewed, not based on the focus will not be based on the aspect of crisis, but it will be based on the person's personality in the religious in religion, relating it to the crisis. For instance, if you want to do a personality interview on a reverend father of a particular parish, and then maybe there is ideological crisis within the Catholic Church or within Christendom, you can now ask the person's lives about questions about what interest do you have in seminary, in becoming a reverend father? How did the interest start? Did any motivation come externally? Were your parents or family members influential in your being a priest today? And also, what contributions have you made as a priest? What encouragement do you have for those who are aspiring to become reverend fathers, those who want to become reverend fathers, become priests? And then, as you ask these questions, then you can bring in a question relating to whatever religious crisis that's going. Being a clergy, being someone who is knowledgeable about religion, what do you have to say about the ongoing ideological battle within the Catholic Church, or the ongoing religious crisis, or the ongoing disagreements within Christendom? Now, it is actually a personality interview, but you have related that interview to an ongoing challenge, an ongoing crisis, an ongoing situation. That is another category or another aspect which personality interview can be conducted. In that aspect, the person being uh, knowledgeable about religious issues, because reverend fathers are people who undergo training for a very long time, theological training, philosophical training, psychological training. So they are in the know of certain things, they understand certain concepts, and they know how to translate that. They know how to envisage certain things. So they are in the know of how to understand. Even in the course of their training, they are taught a lot of things even outside Christianity. So they know how to relate activities in the Christian world and activities in the social world or in the secular world, and they know how to arrive at the conclusion or make inference in certain cases. So they will be in a very good position to answer questions relating to that through personality interview. And if you're conducting a personality interview based on entrepreneurial development or entrepreneurship, if you're conducting interview in the area of entrepreneurship or in the area of entrepreneurial development or education, you can focus on someone who is an expert in that area. There are people who are self-employed, people who have developed themselves over time. They have the entrepreneurial prowess. They know how to turn ideas into money. They know how to develop ideas and use such ideas to generate revenue, to bring income. They know how to develop ideas, how to develop concept. Now you can look for people of that nature and do a personality interview where you can ask them questions about how did they start, how did they begin, what interests did they have that drew them into entrepreneurship, how were their external motivation, the investment they began, on what note did they start? Did they start with 10,005? How were they able to utilize the profits that they made? What turnover did they get? And what challenges did they face in the course of uh, doing business, in the course of getting involved, or in their beginning stages of uh, entrepreneurial development or entrepreneurship. So they will tell you the things they went through, the challenges they faced, the sacrifices they made, the people that contributed to their success, such contributions, how they were able to utilize such contributions, and the level which the levels which the utilizations were made. And by asking that, you can now relate that personality interview to the ongoing economic challenge in Nigeria. We have inflation, hyperinflation going on, the devaluation of the naira, we have the high exchange rate. So you can now relate the question. You can say, oh, sir, you are an expert in entrepreneurial development with the high level of inflation, the hyperinflation, the devaluation of the naira, which has affected a lot of things across all sectors, and the high exchange rate. What impact has this on micro or macro economy, and what solutions do you think should be profiled to curb this situation? And what what are the type of actors that should play, or factors that should play, in order to curb the situation? Now, through the personality interview, in that aspect of life, in entrepreneurial development, you have been able to link the interview to the current challenge that is being faced. So the person will now be able to answer the question in line with how knowledgeable he is or she is, or they are in the aspect of entrepreneurship. So it is very important that during such interviews, you should have a focus, a target of what you expect to get, so that the interview will be well arranged, the questions will be well structured. And there is something that is called open-ended and closed-ended questions in interviews. So in interview, it is expected that open-ended questions should be asked. Open question ended open-ended questions should be asked and not closed-ended. Closed-ended are questions that requires yes or no answer. When you ask someone, have you been to Kano or have you been to Kaduna? The answer is either yes or no. That is a closed-ended question. Now, when you have too many closed-ended questions, you may not be able to get anything substantial from the interviewee. Now, if there are going to be closed-ended questions, then you must also have open-ended as follow-up questions. Now, have you been to have you been to Kano before? And the person says, yes, I have. Now, the follow-up question or the next question would be, an open-ended where you can ask what actually took you to Kano, or what did you go to do there, or what were you doing there. Now, in that aspect, the person will be expected to talk and give a detailed explanation of what actually took him or her to Kano. That is where you'll be able to get information. Now, from the question, I mean, from the answer that the interviewee will give, you will be able to still get follow-up questions to ask. There may be as many follow-up questions as possible that can be obtained from an answer given by an interviewee. Now, when questions are being written to be asked, this is one thing journalists should take note of. You know, interview is flexible. It is not rigid that once questions are written, only those questions that should be asked. No, it's not always like that, except in exceptional cases where it is being instructed that such should be maintained. Or else there are certain questions that may not be on the list of questions that you have written down to ask any interviewee. But in the course of the interviewee answering the questions that you have asked, there will be room for follow-up questions that you must ask to clarify certain issues, or else the audience will be left in the dark. There will be a kind of ambiguity in the answers. So follow-up questions help to clarify ambiguity or to get detailed information of certain issues that may not be deeply explained or comprehensively explained. So the need for follow-up questions should be taken very seriously. You shouldn't take it that because you have written 5 questions to ask or 4 questions to ask, then you are going to ask just 4 questions. Once you ask and the person answers the four, that's all, and then you go away. No, you try to manage the time. If a program is to last for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, you are the controller of the program. You are the one, you are the controller of the interview. You are the one managing the interview. So you should know how to structure your questions so that it will fall within that time. In an interview that is slotted for 10 minutes, and then you just end it within 3 5 minutes, it's not appropriate. Or no, maybe if it gets to 7 8 minutes and then you are able to conclude, that will be fine. So follow-up questions can help to extend the interview and get detailed information. And in a situation where the interviewee keeps talking and the time is almost it's almost elapsing, you have the authority to cut the interview. You will tell the interviewee, thank you very much. While the person is still talking, you can cut that interview. Thank you very much. So thank you very much. I'm sorry that our time is up. We have to end it here, and then you say whatever thing you have to say and you end. Because there are some interviewees that if you don't take control of the interview, you make them to take control of the interview. When an interviewer loses control of an interview to an interviewee, then you will mar the whole process, because the person will take charge and talk whatever they want to say, and then the time will be extended, which will actually, affect the next program, and then it will cause a kind of time infringement on the bulletin, which it will not be appropriate. So you must be in charge of your interview. Don't allow interviewees to take control of your interview when you are the one who is supposed to be in charge. By being in charge means you know the questions to ask. You have to control the person's way of communication, where interviewee begins to actually bring in derogatory words or statements. You are in authority to caution that they shouldn't say things that will amount to defamation or will be derogatory in nature. So that is the reason for you to be an interviewer, for you to be an interviewer, for you to be a professional reporter, journalist, you must know the tenets of journalism. You must understand the code of ethics or the ethical consideration in journalism. You must understand media law. That's the reason before this training began, I was able to put you through the code of ethics of journalism. I was able to put you through the code of ethics of journalism and media law because these are the things that you need to know to operate effectively as a reporter. Every profession has ethics and has law those governing them. So you must understand the ethics of operation and the legal aspect concerning journalism, concerning media, so that you won't make mistakes and then begin to say that you didn't know. Because just like it is say, ignorance is not a reason to evade punishment because it's expected that you're supposed to know. Where you don't know, you're supposed to ask questions to be clarified, to understand and do things appropriately. Now, if a personality interview is going to be generalized, there are generalized personality interview where the personality is asked questions in all aspects. Ask the person about the person's marital life. You ask the person about educational life, ask the person about social cultural life or social life, ask the person about religion, ask the person about all that. An interview can all still have all these things put together and where it can be actually done. Now, in interviews that in personality interviews, that all these are going to be done, which means the time, the time is being extended in some aspects. Some personality interview may take um, 10 minutes, some will take 15 minutes, some will take 20. Now, within these interviews, there will be short breaks. In some cases, there are short breaks, and then the interview continues, which lasts for 10, 15. And they normally pay to be interviewed. They will want to say certain things. They can come to a station and say, I want to be interviewed. I want to be interviewed, so I need you to do that. So they can come to a station and pay for airtime to actually do such interview. And in some cases, such interviews go a long way to not just benefiting the station, but also benefiting the audience. So it is important that personality interviews should be taken seriously. There are many people. Personalities are of type. We have local personalities. We have state personalities. We have national personalities. We have international personalities. So personalities are also categorized. Personalities are people that are prominent in their areas, in their fields, in their localities. The people that are known in a particular place. For instance, if you choose a particular local government, you can have someone who is well recognized within the local government, who plays local politics, grassroots politics, and the person is well respected, well known. Or maybe there is somebody in a particular local government who indulges in teaching certain aspect, teaching certain things to people, organizing private lectures, private classes, or who is a promoter of education or an education advocate. And then the person becomes a personality in that locality, in that aspect. So personalities are being categorized. So there are some personalities that want to be promoted too. They want people to know what they have. They want people to know what they can do and deliver. So once you approach such people for an interview, you most of them will grant you the audience so that you will interview them and make reference to the things they have achieved, the things they have done. For instance, if you are interviewing someone who is an educator, a local educator in a particular local government, and then the person, you can interview the person on promoting education in rural education, promoting rural education. So maybe the person is an advocate of rural education. So by the time you bring the personality on board for an interview, you can ask the person questions concerning their passion for rural education. How did you get involved in rural education? What motivating factors led to your involvement in rural educational development or promotion? And then you begin to ask the impact the person has made so far and the support the person has received from donors, external support, and the challenges faced and what the person intends to do to improve the people the person intends to bring together, to bring in place to enhance that. And then you can now link that to local education, rural education. Uh, what are the challenges? Because if you go to rural communities, you will see that education at the rural level is very terrible. You see dilapidated structures, you see unqualified teachers that are not qualified to teach. Some of these teachers don't teach well. You know, the foundation these teachers lay for the student affect them in their secondary and higher education because primary education is very paramount. Most of the challenges people have in higher institution is due to poor educational foundation from primary to secondary. Once anybody attends uh, primary or secondary schools that don't give them the best education, they find it difficult to cope at the higher level. That is why higher education, they talk about lecturing. It is not teaching. You are being lectured. You know, the issue is that when there are conceptual clarification or definition of terms, you see that the way lectures are being done for those who are graduate or student to understand that how lectures are done are different from the way teachings are done in secondary and primary schools because in higher institution, a lecturer can come, give you lecture, give you outline of the course you are offering or to offer, and then will come and then give you an introductory aspect, give you um, some kind of tips or summary, and then give you a lecture assessment and all that and leave you with the rest to do research on your own to know the in-depth aspect. So if you don't have a formidable training or foundation of education from the primary to the secondary school levels, you will find it difficult to cope. That is the challenge Nigeria education is facing today. A very big challenge in Nigerian education. That is the reason Lamido Sanusi, the former CBN governor and now the Emir of Kano, said that most graduates are unemployable because they lack the basic skills or knowledge required to flourish in the area where they would have been employed. So this is a very big challenge. So when you have a personality who is actually knowledgeable in the aspect of education, and the person is able to speak, it will help inform people about the challenges. It will help inform people about various concepts. It will help inform people in the audience about the way forward, what can be done. Because there are, while doing that, there will be shots. When you do an interview in that aspect, you have gone to a particular community in the rural area, and you have interviewed the personality, and then you get shots of those schools. If the school is dilapidated, you get the shots. Some schools don't have desks, don't have benches, don't have a board, chalkboard, because most of the schools in rural areas don't use whiteboard, so they still use chalk. Blackboard, I don't have blackboard, and then some have very poor blackboard that don't the teachers don't find it easy to use for the lessons that they normally have. So it becomes very terrible. So when a personality in that aspect is being interviewed, you get the shot, and then you accompany that the with the interview, so that it will make it more impactful, and then it can create societal change. It can cause certain changes, motivate people to pick up the challenge of ensuring that rural education is being improved the same way with urban education. Urban education is speakers of English. They lack good command of English. Some of them don't understand certain things very well. They lack certain concepts, they lack certain ideas, they don't know how to do certain things effectively because of the foundation. Now, when the teacher is not knowledgeable about a concept, it will be difficult for that teacher to make impact, because instructional materials must be constructed in line with the knowledge of the teacher. So certain teachers don't even know how instructional materials should be used because they are not qualified teachers. So they don't know that people who are in nursery, primary one, two, three, have certain classroom management for that class, has a way of working on their educational psychology because of their ages. So it takes a well-trained teacher who understands education very well to be able to make that impact. So when personality in that aspect is being interviewed, the person will be able to answer questions very well. Like I said before, journalism is about creativity. Journalists need to sit and think. You know, it is not at all time that the way things are done must continue like that. No, there should be modification, but not going against the rules, not going against the ethics, not going against the law. But you can add creativity to that concept, create concepts that are marketable, a creative concept that will help you to be ahead of others. So personality interview, when you choose to conduct that, you should try to relate that interview to any issue that is practically ongoing. So you can do that personality interview on someone, and then you ask questions that are practical, questions that relate to things that are happening, so that it shouldn't be that the person is just interviewed and the public know the person, or the person says certain things. It should also be that what the person say is having an impact in many phases and directions, so that it can go a long way to transforming things. And then people who are being interviewed in under personality interview can be involved in certain decision makings that has to do with the areas where they are experts or knowledgeable about. So it is important that Personality interview should be taken seriously. Wherever you are as trainees, you have personalities within the area you are. I say that personalities are categorized. You have local personalities, state personalities, national personalities, international personalities. Now, the categorization of these personalities fall within various phases of life, various sectors of life, various aspects of life, where you can get them at the local level. You have people are who are entrepreneurial gurus or experts. You have people who are educators. You have people who are agricultural developers, who are project managers, who are estate developers, people who are marriage counselors, people who are students, are unionists, people who are in various aspects, even at the local level, at the state, at the national and international level. So even if you don't have that uh, opportunity, because uh, people like Dangote, Wale Adenuga, Otedola, and the rest, before these are personalities. Now you may not be at the level to be granted access to interview them, except if you are lucky enough, because such personalities are not easily assessed for interview because of their involvement in multi-dimensional aspects of business and life, because of their schedules and all that. So they are difficult, except when they really want to talk about pressing issues. They may actually invite the press over. Not that they are not accessible, of course, they are being assessed, because there are a couple of interviews that have been done uh, with their involvement on TV that they participated. So they are accessible, but just that it will not be easy. So there are still people who are not up that level, but they can be assessed, and they will be able to give useful information, and you able to talk about things that will be helpful, things that will contribute significantly to the development of the community in various aspects in which they are involved in. Like I said before, uh, journalism has intertwined or interwoven aspects, interwoven or interrelated concept, because you need the knowledge in a particular uh, topic to work on a particular one. So when topics are treated in isolation, they are not used in isolation practically. In practicing them, they are interwoven, because before you do an interview, you must know how to talk. And now there's a course that deals with speech development, public speech presentation. So you must know how to talk. And then there's a topic that talks about interviewing, how to interview. Now you need to know how to talk to be able to interview. And then there's a topic that talk about news writing, news reporting. You need to know how to write news to be able to interview people and put that in the news format to be broadcast or to be published. And then for you to do these things, you need to understand a media code of ethics to be able to know if what the person is saying is ethical to be actually published or broadcast. You need to understand media law to know if the interview you are conducting, what the person is saying, is not against the media law, will not amount to litigation. So you need to know media law to operate. You need to know media code of ethics to operate. You need to know how to talk to operate. You need to have good command of English. You need to understand public speech. You need to know how to write. You need to have good writing skills And then you need to know how interview is being conducted. So you discover that these topics are treated in isolation, treated independently, but they are used together. They are brought together to enhance effective journalism, effective service delivery. They are used together to bring professionalism in the area of journalism, but they are treated independent of the other. You see, you have if you are in any institution of training, in any media school or department, you will see each course will have a title. Each course will have a title: news writing, news reporting will be there, English for broadcasters will be there. Camera operation will be a topic of its own. Editing. These things are treated separately. But once you go to to the practical aspect of it, you will need to bring them together to bring good results. You need to put them together to achieve success. You need to put them together to bring effective service delivery. So all that this training has brought from the beginning as it is approaching its end must be brought together for you to be able to make impact. You don't have to leave one outside because we talk about photojournalism, talk about rural development, community development, talk about specialized reporting, and a lot more. You will need to know all of them to operate effectively. Once anything is missing, then it is being lost. It's just like the process of preparing food. You know, when you want to prepare a soup, you want to prepare soup, there is a process that is being followed for the preparation of soup. One, you have to go to the market to buy the ingredients that are required for the particular soup you are preparing, because there are various delicacies, various soup. So each soup has ingredients that characterize it, and the process of preparation of each soup differ. Some may be the same, but the ingredients will be different. The process may be the same, but the ingredients will be different. Now, the moment a particular ingredient misses, the moment a particular ingredient misses on that soup, it will alter the taste of the soup. Just one ingredient that is not there. Just imagine a soup that requires Maggi and then there's no Maggi on it. A soup that requires salt and then you don't put salt, or it's a soup that needs pepper and there is no pepper. A soup that needs tomatoes and then there's no tomatoes. The taste will not be the same. And the name of the soup cannot be called that name again, because once anybody tests it, the person will tell the guy, this soup is not like this. It's not like Afan soup. Doesn't taste like Afan. It doesn't taste like a dick icon. Why? It's because something is missing that characterizes that soup. The same thing is applicable to journalism. This is just an analogy to tell you that in journalism as well, once the ingredients of journalism are not there, once one is missing, it will alter the process. It will distort the work. It will make your work to have faults. If you are not knowledgeable about news writing, even if you know how to operate the camera, even if you know how to edit, even if you know how to do that, and you don't know how to write, it will still alter the process. It will distort the news. It will make the process to be distorted, especially when you are the one, only one to do all these. Because there are situations you will be in that you will be all in one. That is why you are expected to know camera operation, to know editing, to know news writing, news casting, news gathering, news development, everything. So that if you are in a fix, where there is no one to help you, you will be able to operate professionally. So you won't say, no, you only know how to broadcast news, you don't know how to write. Others write for you to read that you don't know how to write. Then that means if you're on your own to do anything, such a thing will be a failure. And then that shows a lack of professionalism in you. You can't say, well, you don't know how to broadcast. You only write, and then you give to someone else to read. You know, especially when you are on your own to do that. But where there is division of labor, where there is a kind of assignment of duties, that will be a different case. But it's good for you to know the fact that you are in editing. You only edit news doesn't mean that you shouldn't know newscasting or news writing or other aspects, because you don't know what may happen tomorrow. So that is why it's expected that reporters should know everything. The fact that you are a newscaster or a news presenter or a feed reporter doesn't make you feel like, well, since you are a newscaster or you report on feed, you must not know how to edit news, and you must not know how to handle camera, since you always have a cameraman, you just stand there and then you talk and you go. No, that won't be appropriate. Every journalist needs to know camera operation. It doesn't matter whether you are on the production side or no. You need to know, because you may be in a situation where you may have no support. So what will you do then? That is the reason in teaching media, there are aspects that are being touched before concentrating on the main thing. Because someone who is studying television journalism and television production, in NTA Television College, just uh, they have television journalism, they have television production. Those who study television production are those behind the scene. Those who study television journalism are those in front of the camera. Those who study television production are those behind the camera. Now, are those that are involved in the process of production, news production. They take the camera, do the coverage, go to the studio, edit, work on the technical aspect of that. But as a journalist, you are expected to know. You are expected to know. That is the reason, despite the fact that these courses are like that, there are key courses in production that students in television journalism must undergo. And then there are some courses in journalism that students in television production must also learn, so that if in case you are left on your own to do any work, you shouldn't be confused. You should still have the skill required to do that. So the curriculum is made in such a way that whether you study television production or you study television journalism, at least even if you are a television producer, if you find yourself where you need to handle news, you should be able to at least do something in a way. Whether you are in television journalism and you happen to be behind the camera, at least you should be able to do that. That is why journalists are taught camera operation, how the camera is used for news gathering, for news production. So it is important that all that has been taught and will be taught before this session ends on the 29th of this month, you must take them very seriously. For those of you who have missed or who might have forgotten, you can go back and watch the videos, because Treat Peace Media has created, I think a platform has been made in such a way that all the videos of the training still remain intact. They are they are not deleted. They are still there. That if you miss anything, you can still go there and still watch. And by the time the training ends completely, I will take time, sit and go through all the trainings that we have done and be able to write to write a book or maybe a booklet or to write something about the training so that it can be there for three-piece media. Maybe if they want to actually distribute to you or whatever they want to do, they will do that, but it will be packaged and handed over to them so that it can be used for reference purposes. If anyone wants to go through, wants to read, want to carry along because it will be published and the soft copy will be there. It's a task that I would take time to do that so that this training will be more impactful to those who um, um, would want to continue in the field of journalism. So it will be well arranged. I want to still encourage you that you should continue to put in your best. You are not in the wrong place because there are a lot of opportunities in media. There's a lot of opportunities in journalism. You have that self confidence in you. It makes you to develop self confidence to have that authority. It makes you to know more people, to know many people, to know more intellectually, to be vibrant. It gives you that confidence to talk eloquently, fluently, and to learn more, to develop yourself so that you will be able to make significant impact. Now, you need to take whatever training that you have acquired seriously because it is going to be as a springboard to greater heights. You know, there are certain things that before you do in life, you must have a foundation. Someone wants to work with you, the person wants to see what level of exposure do you have media wise. Once the person sees that commitment, apart from the certificate that is being presented in media, it is a practical aspect that is later hinged on. You may have a good result, but once you don't deliver on the field, you will be discarded. You will be disengaged because journalism is about results. It's a practical profession. It's not something that you just go and sit there that you have a certificate. No, you do you know how to do it? Can you go to the field and cover news? Can you interview people? Can you handle camera? Can you edit? So you must know these things practically to excel in the field of journalism. Journalism is not something that you just go and sit somewhere and say you are a journalist. Journalists are known by their work. What have you written? What interview have you conducted? Where is your signature on anything that you have done practically? So that is what will actually prove that you're truly a journalist, not just a journalist, a professional journalist. We have very unprofessional, we have many unprofessional journalists that are everywhere who have been involved in quack journalism. So for you to be professional in your area, you must be extremely knowledgeable about what you do. So please continue to take this training seriously. And as we approach the end of this training, you will be grounded. You have the profundity. You will be deeply rooted in the knowledge of journalism so that you will be able to excel anywhere you find yourself. You will not only be valuable to three-piece media, you will be valuable to anybody, anywhere you find yourself, even as you will be working um, uh, for three-piece media, you can still be able to make impact elsewhere by contributing knowledge-wise to the development of any concept, community, or anything that will what being developed. So thank you very much for your time for this training today, and I believe that you will be prepared for subsequent training before it ends officially on 29th of this month. And I believe that you would be actually putting this training to practice, like I have said before. Even if you're not sending it to Trippies Media to be used, you should as well be doing that as a personal training, and then you do self evaluation after you go through. You see if it's actually a good, or you can forward it to Trippies Media to evaluate that for you and see your level of progress. Thank you very much and have a lovely weekend.